Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of April 10th, 2025, including the Xbox Showcase 2025 has officially been announced and dated. I've been playing a lot of South of Midnight, and I'm really enjoying it so far. All that and more. On this week in Xbox history, in the year 2009, 16 years ago, Hannah Montana the movie was released for the Xbox 360. That's right, Hannah Montana the movie, the video game, not to be confused with Peter Jackson's King Kong the movie, the video game. I never played Hannah Montana the movie, I'll be honest. Closest thing I ever played to that in 2009 was Band Hero, because it had Taylor Swift, and for some reason, when Taylor Swift was first really popping off with her country pop album, back in the late aughts, early 2010s, I thought Taylor Swift and Hannah Montana were the same person. Not really, but can't blame a guy for conflating the two. Listen, do you hear something? So let's move on. Guys, welcome to Xbox On, the podcast about one toast. Tim R. writes in and says, hey, a closing track that I didn't skip. Not sure what that was, but it was nice. Also, thanks for being weirdly dedicated and reliable for something that you don't even make money from. Your hobby makes my fucking day. Well, thank you, Tim R., I guess. What did we play last week? Night of the Wind, of course, from Sonic and the Black Knight. Released also in 2009. For the Nintendo Wii, I believe it was released in March. If not February, but I'm pretty sure it was March. Listen, I have a really weirdly impressive memory when it comes to things that don't matter. I can remember the release dates of movies, video games, books, the opening dates of theme park attractions, whatever. If it's something I care about, something stupid that means nothing in the grand scheme of things and benefits mankind 0%, I remember it. I remember the date. But if it's something that's meaningful, like the day I met my girlfriend or, my mom's birthday or something, right out my fucking brain. That's not entirely true. I am being a little facetious. I'm generally pretty good at dates. It's the one thing. It's the one skill I have where I feel pretty confident. It's people are oh, I can say the alphabet backwards, or someone's I climbed Mount Everest, or someone else is I can do a fucking kickflip Tonata spin like that NPC told me to do in Tony Hawk that one time. I can't do impressive stuff like that, but I can remember dates for no justifiably important reason, but not important dates. I'll never remember when 9/11 was, but I'll always know when Sonic Unleashed came out in November of 2008, So anyway, guys, welcome to the Xbox On podcast. It's me. It's your host. It's the only one who's ever hosted the show, and I'm so glad to be here with you all. And with that said, dude, what the fuck? I think I'm developing a little bit of a, what do they call it? When there's the little, on your tongue from eating too much sodium. What do they call it? Canker sore? Where does that name come from? I don't know. I just had a taiyaki sandwich, one of those little Japanese little ice cream treats where it's the little waffle cone shaped like a fish, and then it's inside was green tea and red bean paste. And now there's that was a sore on my tongue. I think it's too much sodium. I don't know. It hurts. Now it hurts to talk. You see what you fuckers did? Anyway, it's okay. I'll push through for you guys. This is my hobby. This is my weird hobby where I endure the pain and I do it for free just for you, Tim R. So listen up. We got a good podcast for you. We have some notable game releases this week that I got to tell you about, starting, of course, with Monster Energy Supercross 25. No, of course, I'm just joking. Really, the big thing here is South of Midnight is officially out. Last week, it was in early access, but this week, it's properly out. For $40 US, this game can be yours. Or if you're a Game Pass Ultimate or PC subscriber, of course, you can get it through Game Pass. We're going to talk about this game a lot when we get to what I've been playing, because this is what I've been playing. So we'll hold the thoughts and opinions for now, just to say, hey, it's out. If you're looking for something new to try, here's a big Game Pass release that's totally notable, a big game on Xbox. It's a first-party game, the third game from developer Compulsion, and the first game from Compulsion under the Xbox Game Studios banner, under their ownership and leadership. So this is a pretty big deal. This is one of those Xbox teams that was acquired back in the big 2018. Here's 5 studios we just acquired big. Like, Xbox is here to double down on first party content to make the Xbox an awesome place to play games. And this is one of those original teams they acquired that, remember, they formed the initiative and then they acquired a bunch of other teams. And this is one of those original teams they acquired. And it's been this long since they started getting to work on their first project as an Xbox Game Studios team, and here it is, South of Midnight. It is finally out, so it feels good to have this one out, just because I feel like all these original teams that Xbox bought back in 2018, which is such a quaint time period now to think about, because so much has changed in the world of Xbox since. But when you think about that first round of teams they acquired when they started really expanding their portfolio, it's like, how have all those teams not put out games yet? It's like, Double Fine has put out Psychonauts 2, but that game was already in development when they got acquired, but so they haven't put a game out since. It's like, okay, well, what are they working on, It's like the Initiative still doesn't have a game. South of Midnight just came out, so the Coalition's finally, or sorry, not the Coalition, Compulsion's finally put out a game. Playground, of course, got acquired, but they've put out Forza Horizon 4 and 5 cents, so that's a little different. And Fables and Eternal Development. So anyway, it's just an interesting thing nonetheless. But anyway, let's move on, because we're going to come back to South of Midnight. I am very excited to talk to you guys about that game today. But before we do that, we have a little something for this segment that almost never gets used, this corrections updates segment. We have an update here. So this never-ending story these past few months of this Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake potentially getting shadow dropped. It's coming back in the news after last week's Nintendo Direct came and went, and it was nowhere to be seen at that event, which is where everyone speculated it would be shown. The story's resurfacing again. So according to Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb, he said that the Oblivion remake could still simultaneously be announced and released at any moment now. So he said it's going to shadow drop pretty soon. His comments were follow the reports that VGC has corroborated with other sources that say the Oblivion remake could be released in April, following months of build-up to the unannounced game. The Oblivion remake is, of course, being rumored. It has been rumored to be in development by Virtuous, the same studio is currently working on the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake for Konami. Yeah, I know a lot of people really like, where the fuck is it? Come on, when's it coming? I still feel like there's no good time to release this. If it wasn't going to be part of this Switch 2 announcement direct thing, I feel like there's no good place for this to get announced and shadow dropped between now and the Xbox Summer Showcase, which is the other thing we're about to get into. So the Xbox Summer Showcase that they do every year in June, that's a great place to shadow drop, announce, and release a game like this. I think that's a great way to have a great showcase, and then also have a great, and if you're excited about Xbox, here's a game right now that we just announced that you can go play. I think that'd be great. But before we get to that showcase in June, from now in April until then, I feel like there's no good time to do it, because we just got South of Midnight. We're about to get Claire Expedition 33. We just got Atomfall. We just got Avowed. We're about to get in May Doom: The Dark Ages. It's like, now it's a terrible time. You're about to put Indiana Jones on PlayStation. Slow the fuck down. You're about to put Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation. Calm down. Let there be some breathing room. Get a game out in June, because Tony Hawk comes in July. It's like, wouldn't it make perfect sense to put this Oblivion remake out as a shadow drop during your game showcase in June, when you don't have something already on the docket? And also, wouldn't it be awesome to have a big summer game to kind of kick off the summer season? Be like, here's a huge single-player RPG game you can get lost in for your summer vacation, kids. Boom, here it is now. I just feel like, I know the reports say it's going to happen any minute now, so I got to believe it. But at the same time, it's like, this is horrible planning. I don't see the benefit of this at all. All you're going to do right now by releasing this is just get kind of muddled in the mix of Switch 2 shit's going on and tariff shit's going on and Xbox is releasing 45 games. Maybe they feel like they need to release all these games before these tariffs go into effect for some reason. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I don't know. Maybe because there's so much backlash to Switch 2 related news, Xbox is like, hey, this could be a good moment to get some goodwill built up. The thing is, game releases can't just be this flippant. Like they gotta plan for this stuff. There are things they gotta do on the back end to prepare for this. So it's not like they can just decide on a Monday that they want to release the game on a Wednesday. They gotta like get this shit lined up in advance. And so I'm just a little confused how it could be that a game of this magnitude is just being so poorly kept as a secret, but also poorly mismanaged in terms of what they want to do about getting it out the door and announcing it. So I just find all that weird. But there's your update. Apparently it's still scheduled to be shadow dropped any moment now. So could be out as of the time this podcast goes live or before we meet next week. Who knows? But there you go. There's your update on Oblivion Remake. Cronky, I know you're waiting anxiously, so I hope that makes you happy. All right, guys, let's move into, well, we don't really have any main news segments this week. It's another slower news week. We got a lot of mildly amusing stories. We got a lot of small news stories. There's definitely enough to talk about to fill out a podcast and keep us busy, and I got lots to say on South of Midnight. But, it seems like this is still, there's this quietness right now, and I think it has to do with a couple things. It has to do with, right now, Nintendo sucked up all the energy right now because last week's Switch Showcase got a lot of attention on Nintendo. I got to be completely honest with you guys. I'm in a huge Nintendo mood right now. I've been off the Nintendo bandwagon for like 5 years, and I've been really hard on it this past week. The Switch 2 stuff got me super hyped to the point where for the first time in all the time I've been doing the Xbox On podcast, I've had a lot more interest in Nintendo and my Switch right now than I have in my Xbox, which is very, very unusual and odd, which is cool. It's fun to go through phases where other things are catching your interest and to explore and enjoy that. But I'm just going to be honest with you. So it's just, I think that's a huge part of it. There's just a lot of Nintendo attention right now. It's not a time for Xbox to talk. But in addition to that, what else is there to say? Xbox is about to fucking release 45 games, and then they have a showcase coming up in 2 months. So it's just kind of a lull in the schedule right now, but it's still enough to fill out a podcast. Just not enough to have really a lot of large discussion topics in terms of like big news stories of the week. So that's fine. We'll make the most of it. Let's start out with the biggest thing that happened this week, which happened today as of the time I'm recording this. Microsoft has confirmed their big summer showcase will return, as it does every June, and the live stream will take place on Sunday, June 8th. The Xbox Game Showcase 2025 will be live streamed at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by a second showcase that will be focused entirely on The Outer Worlds 2, the upcoming game from Obsidian. The game showcase will include looks at upcoming titles from across first-party studios, in addition to incredible new titles from third-party partners across the globe. The Outer Worlds 2 Direct following the showcase will reveal new gameplay details and developer insights straight from the people making the sequel to the award-winning first-person sci-fi RPG. IGN also uploaded new footage of Outer Worlds 2 today that offers 11 minutes of new gameplay footage. This is part of their IGN First initiative, where this month, for the month of April, they're featuring all these new bits of information and news stories exclusively about the Outer Worlds 2. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can check it out online. And then finishing it up here, the Xbox June 8th showcase puts them within the same window as Summer Game Fest 2025, which is also set to take place on June 6th. So that's 2 days before Xbox, Friday, June 6th at the usual YouTube Theater in LA. What else is interesting here is that, June 6th is a day after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, and June 8th is 3 days after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. So you got Xbox and Summer Game Fest going up right against the release of a brand new Nintendo console. So lots of jam-packed video game stuff to ingest, play, consume, watch, learn about, and experience in the early days of June, which is just 2 months from now. So we got a lot of exciting momentum, guys. It's a really exciting time for gaming. Xbox is releasing 20 games a week. Doom the Dark Ages looks phenomenal. I'm enjoying the hell out of South of Midnight right now. Nintendo Switch 2 is right around the corner, but Donald Trump won't let us have it. And when we finally do get to pre-order it, it's going to get fucking snagged up by bots in 2 seconds. You fucking know goddamn well that's exactly what's going to happen. But, I came home from work today, and and my girlfriend was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine," because I've just been listening to so many like Nintendo Switch podcasts and like watching so many videos on Nintendo Switch. And she's like, "You seem down." And I was like, and I said this in jest, I was being silly, but I do mean to some extent. I was like, today I was supposed to be incredibly disappointed, but not because anything to do with tariffs or, pricing of a video game console or anything political or economic related. I was supposed to be disappointed because today was supposed to be the day I woke up and said, I'm going to pre-order a Switch 2. And then the second they went live, the internet starts crashing, websites start crashing. I think I got one in my cart. Let me go to checkout. Oh no, it's not in my cart anymore. Okay, I got it to go through again. Now I'm at the checkout screen, punching my credit card. Boom, the website crashed. Oh no, it says they're sold out. That was supposed to be my day today. I was supposed to try and pre-order a Nintendo Switch 2 and get fucked by the usual bots getting all the inventory in 2 seconds or less and normal people like me being fucking left out in the cold. That was supposed to be my experience today, but instead I got disappointed and butthurt over something different, which was being robbed of the opportunity to pre-order a Nintendo Switch because tariffs, because politics, because I don't know what else, but I'm salty. I'm pissed off, and and I had to tell my girlfriend. It's just today's not my day. I got snubbed in more ways than one, and I'm not happy about it. So that's just where I'm at headspace wise. So you guys know it's not the greatest day, but you know what could be a worse day. I'll take this one on the chin, as I know it could be much worse. But anyway, the Xbox showcase, of course, happens every year in the month of June, usually the first Sunday after the full first week of the month. So this is no surprise that this is the date they selected. This is what they're going to do. Obviously, this is the big Xbox summer event, the big Xbox annual event for game announcements, news, trailers, things like that. So needless to say, this will be a very exciting thing. One of the reasons I'm super excited for this year's showcase is because the past 12 months have been a great time period of games that we have been waiting for on Xbox finally releasing. I mean, we've gotten Avowed, we've gotten South of Midnight, we've gotten Indiana Jones, we've gotten all these games that we've been waiting for years and years and years. And so now with these things off the slate, off the docket, that clears up so much space on the schedule for them to talk about, well, first of all, other games that we've been waiting a long time for that are more imminent now because now they're kind of like up front and center. It's their time to go. But also the announcement of new games we don't know about. So, I think about other games that were still like, hey, this was announced forever ago. Where is it? Like Perfect Dark or State of Decay 3 or Everwild or Fable, of course, which was supposed to come out this year and then got delayed to next year. So there's games like that, of course, that's like, okay, where are they? But now the thing is they're up front and center. They're like, it's like a line to ride the water slide. And it's like, all right, we know you're intimidated to go down the big 250-foot water slide, but it's your turn, Perfect Dark and Fable, okay? If you don't fucking go, we're going to push you down the goddamn slide, okay? So it's like, that's exciting because we know this means this will be the event where we get a real deep dive into Fable, a real deep dive into Perfect Dark, probably get some release dates, probably get some extended gameplay footage, and for that, I'm really excited. State of Decay 3, you've been absent for a while. Everwild, you too, buddy. Where are you at? You guys remember a little game called Contraband? Is that still happening? So like these kinds of games, they can't hide anymore because your Indiana Jones and your Avoweds are out in the spotlight now. They're out for the public to enjoy. So we can't talk about those games. We got to address these other things. So that's exciting. And then there's the games that were announced relatively recently that we have very little gameplay or information to go off of, like Blade and Clockwork Revolution, which I'm particularly excited about, and Gears of War E-Day and things like that. So, of course, those are games where it's like, oh, fuck yeah. And then there's the stuff like studios that haven't announced what they've been doing the past few years where it's like, it's kind of time for you to make an announcement. Like Double Fine comes to mind first and foremost. It's like, all right, Double Fine, let's see what the fuck you guys got going on. So from that perspective, I'm very excited about this showcase because I feel like despite the fact that the last couple of years have been really strong in terms of these showcases, I feel like this showcase has a particular potential and opportunity to be to introduce a lot of new games and to give us some real concrete information on games that we just really haven't seen jack shit about so far. And that is really exciting. It means that we could get a really jam-packed, complete, full, exciting, fun-looking showcase, which is has me eager just because Xbox always fucking nails these showcases. It seems like the past, I don't know, half a dozen years or so at this point. They've really done a great job. So there's that. And then, of course, the trend for the past couple years since Halo came out in 2021, the trend has been after the showcase, you do like a showcase about the hot game of the fall that Xbox has lined up. So in 2021, it was all about Wait, am I making this up? No. What year? What was 2022? In 2021, it was Halo Infinite. In 2022, it was Starfield? No, in 2023, it was Starfield. In 2024, it was Call of Duty Black Ops 6. What was it in 2022? Am I forgetting? Oh my God, I feel like I'm fucking crazy trying to remember. I don't remember right now. That's insane. Anyway, and then this year it will be Outer Worlds 2. So that will be the big direct that follows immediately afterwards, which is usually about a 30-minute ordeal or something. So I look forward to seeing that direct focusing all on this game and everything it has to offer. So that'll be really cool to see. A little interested because last year with them choosing to focus on, that direct on Call of Duty and not on like Indiana Jones, it kind of set this precedent where it's like, Call of Duty is an annualized franchise, so are you going to do a Call of Duty Direct every year after the Xbox Showcase? And it seems like no. Well, I think Black Ops 6 was a particularly good Call of Duty that everyone felt eager and excited about. And then on top of that, it was just a good year because Call of Duty is a huge franchise, and it was the first year Xbox could be like, hey, here's our new IP, Call of Duty, let's talk about it. But now that Call of Duty, being part of Xbox is kind of old news, I feel like that can just kind of fall over onto the... this is something they can talk about at like Call of Duty Next or whatever they call that event every year. And, they can show a reveal trailer at this event for the next Call of Duty, but they don't have to make it a primary focus here. They can do that at Call of Duty's own event and then have the game showcase at the end of the direct, in this case, Outer Worlds 2, be kind of like focused on a more Xbox centric game, something that's less, something that's not as big as Call of Duty, something that can kind of carry its own without this kind of event to anchor it to, if that makes sense. So I think this is cool that they're going to give Outer Worlds 2 the big slot for this fall. I mean, what else really is there for Xbox this fall other than Call of Duty and Outer Worlds 2? I mean, everyone's running like hell to get away from Grand Theft Auto 6, of course. So anyway, it'd be cool if they could get some Grand Theft Auto 6 at this showcase, but I fucking doubt it. Anyway, so that's our showcase for June 8th. Really looking forward to it, of course. Hopefully, with any luck, I'll either be playing my Nintendo Switch 2 that morning while I eagerly await for the event to unfold, or I'll be disappointingly using this showcase as a way to distract me from the fact that I wasn't able to get my hands on a Switch 2 the days prior. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know how it's going to play out. Okay, guys, leave me alone. But anyway, let's move on. Speaking of popular things that kids like to get their hands on, Minecraft, the movie, is made money. So Minecraft, the movie, or it's called a Minecraft movie, has surpassed expectations with an opening weekend of $157 million US, so domestically, the best performance ever for a video game movie adaptation. Previously, Nintendo and Illumination's Super Mario Bros. Movie held the record for largest start of a video game adaptation in the US at $146 million, so this beat it by about $11 million. Mario still holds the record internationally, however, at $377 million, while Minecraft is estimated to have landed around $301 million globally or internationally. So regardless, it's still a huge performance. So the total represents a huge leap over what many analysts expected the Minecraft movie to manage in its opening weekend, with analysts projecting somewhere between $70 to $90 million. It also comes against largely negative reviews for the movie. A Minecraft movie currently sits at a 49% aggregate score on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna be honest, I thought about, should I watch this movie? Maybe it would be good for the podcast. It's an Xbox podcast. Minecraft is the biggest thing Xbox owns, although, it's kind of weird because it's like Minecraft is the biggest game Xbox has, but most Xbox gamers aren't like big Minecraft fans. It's like being a Minecraft fan and being an Xbox fan are kind of two separate things. Of course, every Xbox player has Minecraft and purchased or installed at some point or another. But listen, I can read the room well enough to know that. Listen, I already have an unpopular take coming up, and it's that I think South of Midnight's really good. Okay, spoiler alert. I don't need a second unpopular take, which is that, me saying that like Xbox fans are always clamoring for more Minecraft. I know Xbox fans are Xbox fans because they like the controller, they like Gears of War, they like Halo, they like stuff like that. They like Starfield. It's not necessarily Minecraft that's making people lifelong Xbox fans. So I don't know. It's like, I feel like, yeah, it's a big Xbox thing, but at the same time, it's kind of not. But at the same time, it's like, I also kind of think this movie looked horrible, and I had no interest in it whatsoever, and that's fine. It's obviously not a movie geared towards people like me. This movie wasn't meant for me. So I was kind of battling back and forth. I was like, maybe I'll go watch it, but I didn't have the free time, really, this past weekend to watch it, and I just really didn't think the movie looked all that good. Now, my nephew saw it with my dad. My nephew went to go visit my dad in Kansas City, and they went to the movie theater to go see it, and he enjoyed it. He said it was pretty good. And Cronky, I think, watched it as well. I can't tell if he was being facetious or not, but I think he said he liked it. I don't know. Listen, people who are going to see it seem to think it's all right, so good for them. I just have no interest in this movie. Maybe one day I'll watch it. I don't know. But it's cool to see it performing well. It's just one of those things where it's like, listen, I have a hard time relating because in 2009 when Minecraft came out, I was in high school, and I was very much like, oh, Minecraft, that's cool, whatever. I want to go play Halo Reach, you know? But for a lot of kids who were pretty young back in 2009, I mean, this is like their Super Mario Bros. This is one of the biggest games of all time. And so the fact that there's a Minecraft movie now, and that there were kids who grew up, you know, who are young adults who grew up playing Minecraft, addicted to this game helplessly, and the fact that this game is still huge to this day, I mean, this is a big deal to a whole generation of kids and young adults. So I can see why this movie had pull, despite it, you know, looking the way it looked. Because not to the extent of the Mario movie, but in some sense, it's like the Mario movie in that this is just, you know, a movie based on one of the ultimate IPs of all time in entertainment, and it's just kind of bound to do well and get attention just by way of having people hooked by the nostalgia and being a thing that represents a brand people love and have a lot of, you know, fondness for. So it's cool to see that it's doing well. Cool to see that people are enjoying it. I saw a lot of like anecdotal things on the internet where people are like, stop bitching about the Minecraft movie. It's not for you, 40-year-old neckbeard. My 7-year-old son saw it and he thought it was the greatest movie ever. It's like, okay, it's heartwarming. It's fun to think about it. I always think about like the Mario movie, how the Mario movie was like painfully mediocre. And I saw the Mario movie and I was like, that was really whatever. I really didn't care about that movie at all. But the thing I always think about with like the Mario movie isn't how mediocre I think the movie is. It's how adorable that video is on the internet that went super viral after the Mario movie came out, where there's that little boy who's at like the school talent show or whatever, and he's dressed as Bowser. He's in a little Bowser Halloween costume, and he plays the Peaches song on piano, and all the kids in his school are in the audience like singing the Peaches song with him. And I'm like, that is literally the most adorable thing I've ever seen in the entire universe. And I just think about moments like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's something like heartless and soulless and creatively devoid about like Hollywood just cashing in all these video game brands to make these mediocre, cheap, licensed movies that have no soul but make a quick $1 billion at the box office after their run. And like, yeah, we can look at it from that angle and bitch and moan about it and be like, Jack Black against a green screen playing Jack Black in a green screen world isn't necessarily a creative or inspired idea. But you look at like the kids that are enjoying it and the people who it is aimed at and the value that they see it in, it's like, okay, well, who am I to try and take that away from them? So it's cute from that perspective, and I'm glad that there's a generation of kids who are enjoying their Minecraft movie. So good for them, and good for Xbox. I'm sure they're fucking loving this. I'm sure they're looking at this and they're going, oh yeah, we got a lot more to do with Minecraft. I mean, I know they were talking about there's a Minecraft animated show in the works. We know they're working on Minecraft integration in theme parks around the world. So we know Minecraft is an IP that Xbox wants to continue to invest in outside of just the video game. And we're going to continue to see a lot more of that because, yeah, this movie's doing really well. So there's that. All right, next up, I don't really have a lot to say about this. Today, the news site Today, the Today website, they had a Microsoft celebrating their 50th anniversary right now as a company, and they had this little PRE Xbox little video interview they did with Phil Spencer. And in that little video interview, the guy from Today who got to talk to Phil Spencer was brought into the secret Xbox lab at Microsoft's campus, where Xbox hardware and equipment is R&D'd and prototypes are built up and mocked up and things like that, and R&D is being done on future Xbox hardware. And so you get little glimpses of that where they're like testing controllers and building new controllers, and you see little prototypes of Xbox hardware in the background. And I just want to point this out. Eagle-eyed viewers might be interested in taking a look at this and trying to spot out some interesting information. At the end of it, it shows Phil Spencer in his office, and you can see his shelf with all that shit on it. And he said that there might be a secret in the background on the shelf right now, which I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I pressed pause and looked at his shelf in the background, and I didn't see anything. Some people think there's a Doom the Dark Ages Xbox controller that they're saying might get announced, but I don't know. But anyway, I just want to point this out in case there's people who want to go out and watch the video and try to extract any value out of it for themselves. Otherwise, it's really just a whole PR thing to celebrate 50 years of Microsoft through the Xbox brand. So really not much to say about it other than that, but I just want to make mention. All right, we got a few more quick ones here. So remember Marathon, the new game from Bungie? So that's not canceled or dead or anything. Announced a couple years back. We finally got an update on it. It is still coming to Xbox. That is the plan, despite Sony's ownership of Bungie now. They are going to show off this new first-person shooter this week, actually. A teaser posted on the firm's social media accounts confirms that the new information about the game will be shared during a reveal showcase on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on their Twitch page. Alongside this, several members of the media and content creators have teased that they've been invited by Bungie to go and visit their facility and learn more about the game, suggesting that a wave of coverage is going to follow that reveal on Saturday. The game was originally announced in May of 2023, and Bungie said that it would be going dark to focus on the game for a while and would come back when they have more gameplay to show. While information on the game has been sparse, Bungie did release a development update of the game last year, fronted by the game director Joe Ziegler. No release date for the game has been given at this point. It was previously reported that they were targeting a 2024 release date, and obviously that didn't come to pass. So who knows if maybe a 2025 release date is on the docket. We'll probably find out Saturday if that's the case. And then Bungie and Sony are reportedly considering a $40 price tag for Marathon, as it is something of a first-person extraction shooter multiplayer-only game, and not like a Destiny-style, full-blown, I don't know how you want to put it, kind of RPG or narrative-based game in that traditional sense. So obviously, I'm excited about this. I love Bungie. I'm always excited to learn about what Bungie's doing next. Ever since Destiny kind of wrapped up last year, I've been a little bit like out of sight, out of mind with Bungie. So the idea of them coming back and having something completely new to show us, the first game that isn't Destiny since 2014, which is 11 years ago at this point, will be pretty interesting, and I'll be pretty excited to see more about that. So I'm personally really looking forward to this. The idea of Marathon doesn't have me excited, honestly. The idea of an extraction shooter or a hero shooter is just not my thing at all. But I am very curious to see how Bungie pulls it off, because Bungie has never made a game since Halo Combat Evolved that has been anything less than incredibly engaging and interesting to me. And so I doubt whatever this game is going to be something that doesn't, at least on some level, work for me. So I gotta trust Bungie. They've done nothing but make great games, in my opinion, in all their time. So I'll be eager to see more of what this game is all about, and we'll talk about it next week once we've seen it. So that's exciting. Next up, so Microsoft launched a version of Quake 2 powered entirely by generative AI, and they've been receiving a lot of negative backlash on social media, of course. The Quake 2 tech demo is powered by Microsoft's new video game generative AI model, Muse, which we talked about a couple months back, which says it can generate game visuals, controller actions, or both. Microsoft launched the Quake 2 demo, which has been played via web browser on Microsoft's website, to show the capabilities of Muse, but insisted that it does not intend to for this to fully replicate the actual experience of playing the original Quake 2. Microsoft adds that whilst we feel it is incredibly fun to play a simulated version of the game inside this model, there are of course limitations and shortcomings of our current approach. And then it says it notes that interactions with enemies need to be improved, since they will often appear fuzzy, and because of that, there's current context length of 0.9 seconds of gameplay, frames at 10 frames a second. It will forget about objects and go out of view for longer than this amount of time. While there's some knowledge of this technical achievement behind the demo, many social media users have been negative about the showcase of this. A significant people replying to posts and videos about this, criticizing them for using generative AI. Quote, we made a program that vaguely and inaccurately imagines what it might look like if you were playing Quake 2 right now, reads one reply. Quote, it requires all the same equipment you could instead be using to actually play Quake 2, but requires 1 billion times more electricity, says another comment. Quote, this is absolutely a fucking disgusting and spits on the work of every developer everywhere, reads another more strongly worded reply. Now wrapping up, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has said that they're planning on having a catalog of video games utilize the new generative AI model. Of course, commenting on Muse in February, Nadella compared it to a wow moment that he felt when he first saw models like ChatGPT. So here we are getting more and more a look at this Microsoft AI model that isn't ready necessarily to take off and start building kind of reimaginings of old games for preservation's sake. But we keep seeing this happen where it's like they're talking about it, they're eager about it, but people are not having it. People are not interested in it. And the thing is, it's like, man, I admire the technological achievement here, but there's something about like taking these games and being like, hey, here's what it would look like if, AI were imagining what it would be like to play this game. It's not the real version of the game. And then immediately as a consumer, your mind starts wandering and goes, no. Don't tell me you're going to bring back Blinks the Time Sweeping Cat by having an AI model make some facsimile of what Blinks was. Like, come on, remake the proper game so that it's accessible to newer audiences on modern hardware and that we can preserve this game for generations to come. I mean, it's like, that's the kind of shit we're talking about. But the more and more Xbox gets excited about this, obviously they want to show off this expensive and impressive technology they have. But the more they want to talk about it and the more they show it, the more worried I become, and I think others become, that this is something they're going to lean on as a lazy, cheap crutch to bring old games forward as opposed to proper remakes and remasters. So it's a valid criticism and concern, although we're not 100% in a situation where we have to worry that that's exactly what's happening. But I'm just going to be honest. It's like, this is not how anyone wants games to be presented or made. Everyone, I think, is okay with AI to some extent, right? In-game development. But this is like the worst case possible. This is like replacing the humans entirely with machines. And so it's like, if you're going to remove all the artistic integrity and the humanity from the artistic project, you might as well not have the product altogether. And so that's exactly what this model does. It just shows... It just realizes the worst fears people have about what AI could do in terms of harming the art form. And I feel like this is just rationalizing that fear as opposed to just swaying it by saying, here's how AI could be complementary to the game development experience as opposed to something that could dominate and replace the game development experience. And so I think the backlash is warranted. And I think Xbox and Microsoft need to be a little more sensitive and considerate of their tone in the situation they're coming into when they come to brag about this technology and show it off. And I just think it's a bad idea. Maybe you make a mock tech demo and then you have the AI replicate it and you show that off, rather than being like, here's an old game people want to love and preserve forever and ever, and here's AI bastardizing it. Don't you love it? So like, I don't know, maybe just find a better approach. But at the end of the day, God, I hope this doesn't become a thing, but it's going to become a thing, isn't it? I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so fucking tired of AI. It's so boring. All right, last one here, and it's unfortunately a sad one, but I always want to pay respects when something like this happens. People deserve to get recognized for what they've done in their lives, deserve to be celebrated. So VGC relays the information, the sad news that Bill Petros, a Blizzard veteran who worked on World of Warcraft and Overwatch, has unfortunately passed away. The news was shared on LinkedIn by Harley D. Huggins, a former developer at Blizzard and a close friend of Petros. Celebration of life for Petros will be held in the coming days. He worked in games for 24 years, during which time he spent 2 spells at Blizzard. The first, from 1997 to 2005, saw him serve as art director for World of Warcraft, overseeing the era during which World of Warcraft became a global phenomenon. He would then leave Blizzard and come back at Red 5 Games on Firefall before returning to Blizzard in January 2010 to oversee the development of Overwatch, the game's art director. His last role at Blizzard saw him oversee as art director for Overwatch 2. He departed the company in October of 2021. So always just want to, celebrate someone's life, their achievements and their contributions to the game space. Obviously now, especially with Blizzard being part of the Team Xbox brand, this brings it a little even, closer even so to what this podcast discusses and is all about. And more importantly, you just always want to shout out the humans that work on video games and that make these things real. I'm not to make an example of this man's life for the sake of our previous conversation, but these kinds of people are the reason why we like this brand, why we like Xbox, why we have Xbox, why people like me feel emboldened to podcast for free to an audience of people about my appreciation, love, and perspective on the brand, because it's all about humans creating art that inspires other humans to take action and think and do things and have reactions and opinions about that art and to consume and entertain and be inspired to then in turn create for other people. And with AI being in charge of everything, you don't have that. So I just want to take this as a minute to have Bill be that example of that reminder, serve as that reminder for why we like Xbox, why we have Xbox, why we celebrate the people behind the games we love, and why video games as an art form in a grander sense is important, because people spend their lives, they dedicate their lives creating this shit, and then they die, and then their work lives on in the teams they worked with and the games they made and the decisions that they made and the work they produced that helped create things that people love, like Overwatch and World of Warcraft. And that's fucking awesome. So rest in peace, Bill Petros. Of course, thoughts to the family, of course, who are no doubt suffering and mourning right now. So thank you very much. Guys, that's going to do it for all of our small news stories to open up the podcast here. Now, normally we jump into the main news topics, but we don't have any. So what we're going to do is talk about the games I've been playing, because I got a lot to say about South of Midnight, and then we're going to get into listener comments and wrap up stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the games I'm playing. Whoa. Wait a minute. I'm missing something. I can't just go telling y'all about the games I've been playing on an empty stomach. That would make me a sad puppy. What I'm going to do instead is tell you all about this Italian market. I got to tell you about what it is I've been eating, you boys and girls. So my girlfriend had her family over this past long weekend, Thursday through Sunday. I don't know. It was a couple days, right? And it was the first time we hosted a large group of people in our house. It was a lot of people, but it was nice. We had a great time. And on Saturday, they wanted to go out to Tampa because there's this Asian market they do that's really cool in Pinellas County, where all these different vendors come together. There's a lot of Vietnamese and Filipino street vendors and Thai vendors, and they sell all these different plants and fruits, and there's food carts and stuff. It was awesome. We checked it out. It was really a great time. We had a lot of good food, saw a lot of cool things. But while we were over there, I was like, you know what? I know I've never been to this town, Pinellas Park in St. Petersburg, Florida, over in the Gulf Coast. And I was like, I know I have a bunch of restaurants and shops in this area that I've saved on my Google Maps. I have this Google Maps list called Want to Go, and it's just a never-ending list of restaurants and places I want to check out, jazz bars, restaurants, bowling alleys, just random places that I would like to go to at some point in time, diners, coffee shops. And I was I'm pretty sure, because I know this area in theory. I've never been here, but I'm pretty sure there's a place here I really wanted to check out. Lo and behold, we were 1.4 miles away from De Cosmo. I don't know if that's how they say in Italy. Who gives a shit? De Cosmo Italian Market, which is this Italian grocery store, deli, cafe, bakery, all rolled into one giant place in Pinellas Park, Florida. And I was like, oh boy, can we please go? I was like, y'all want to go get a fucking Italian mamacita, which is what, of course, the Italians call a deli sandwich. And they're like, yeah, let's go. That sounds fun. So we head on over to the Cosmo Italian Market. This place was everything I could have dreamed of and more. So let me just talk about the good first. First of all, you walk in, this place is huge for what it is. It's an Italian grocery store. They have all these pastas imported from Italy, all these cheeses imported from all over Europe. They have all these different types of tomatoes and canned mozzarella sauces, canned marinara sauces and tomatoes and things like that. You can make your own sauces. And then they have the big deli where they'll have all the meats and the cheeses and the things you can purchase. And you can get your own sandwiches made. You can get pizzas. You can get all this stuff. And then they got the drink section with all these sodas and wines and things and beers that are imported from Italy. I tried this knockoff Italian version of Coke, which was absolutely fucking horrible, but it was fun to try. And then they have a bakery where they make all their own baked items, and dude, I got some fucking biscotti because I love biscotti. I got a couple different ones. I got some pistachio biscotti, some cherry biscotti, and they were fucking amazing. They were so good. And then they have like a cafe in the back with like one of those like $50,000 espresso machines. It's fucking crazy, made in Italy. And I didn't have any coffee, but it looked like good stuff over there. It was an awesome store, super cool to check out. Loved it. But while we were there, I was like, we got to get a sandwich. I got to get an Italian sandwich because in Orlando, so we're in Pinellas Park, which is like St. Petersburg, which is like a city that is adjacent to / part of Tampa. It's kind of, St. Pete's weird. It's like its own city, but it's part of Tampa, technically, kind of. Anyway, so we're in Pinellas Park, and we're at this Italian market. It's awesome, and I'm curious to try their sandwiches because in Orlando we have a different Italian market called Stasio's, which is in the Milk District downtown. And it is like the greatest thing about Orlando, Florida. Like if someone told you, oh, go to Orlando, Florida, they got a Harry Potter land, or they got the Kennedy Space Center, or they got great beaches, like all that's bullshit. Fuck Universal, fuck Disney, fuck the beach. The best thing about Orlando, Florida is Stasio's, which is the Italian market we got downtown. It's so fucking good. Not only do they have all the import items and the coffee and all that shit, but they have an amazing deli. I've had like 4 of their different sandwiches. I've had breakfast sandwiches. I've had coffee. Everything at that place is to die for. It's so goddamn good. Oh, their food's so good. It hurts. It's so good. Their meats are so good. They cure all their own. They're all the Italian meats, the hams, the spicy capicolas, the gabagools, and all the whatever they got, salamis. They're weird with their words and the things they do with a dead pig, but goddamn is it delicious. So Stasio's, shout out to them. They are god tier. So of course, while we're at De Cosmo over in Pinellas Park, I'm like, I gotta try their sandwiches and compare to Stasio's because De Cosmo, it's a bigger store. They got better selection. It's a more interesting, fun store because it has a lot more character and charm. It's a lot less like hipster in downtown, like cool dude with glasses and a fucking blue apron. So it's got like a better vibe. It's a bigger store. It has more to offer. A bigger bakery, nicer coffee shop. I'm really digging this place, but I gotta judge them by the sandwich ultimately. So I get their classic De Cosmo special sandwich, and it's just an Italian. It's got the provolone, the fucking the different hams and the meats and the cured and tomatoes and the Italian sauce, the deli sauce and everything. And so I'm like, okay, I'm excited to try this. It's gotta be amazing. So we drive like 20 minutes to the beach. We're hanging out there. I'm like, I'm just literally here to eat a sandwich. And I open this motherfucker up and it's okay. It's like a 6 out of 10. It's not bad at all. Like if someone gave me this sandwich and said, hey, I made this, I'd be like, hey, that's pretty good. But for a place that looked this great, a market that was this good, that had baked items this good, that was as authentic and legit looking as this place was, sandwich was pretty underwhelming. It was just okay. My girlfriend's sister, she got a meatball sub and quit halfway through it. So I was like, I'm going to fucking try it. So I tried the meatball sub. It was much better, but still, compared to the sandwiches you can get at Stasio's, not even close. Stasio's is like 12 out of 10 delicious. De Cosmo, their sandwich, 6, 7 out of 10 on a good day. A little underwhelming. Now, if I were back in the area, would I go here again? Absolutely. I'd go for a cup of coffee, maybe even try a different item in the deli, maybe. I would definitely go back for some more baked items, take some home, eat them for breakfast the next morning, something like that. Definitely stop by, try some cheeses or some meats, couple different drinks or wine or something like that. It's a great store, great atmosphere, fun shopping experience. Love the store. The deli, left a little to be desired. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, the good thing is I live closer to downtown Orlando, so if I got to get my fix of an Italian deli sandwich, we got Stasio's here, so it's okay. Stasio's is so fucking good, I swear to God. If you ever go on vacation to Disney World or whatever the hell you're doing out here, make the stop to downtown Orlando. Go to Stasio's. It's the best. So shout out to them. I got to get back out there. It's been a while. I haven't had a Stasio sandwich in probably a year, actually. But they're so goddamn good. Anyway, so that's it for what I've been eating. I just want to give a shout out to the Italian markets. It was a good weekend for food. We went to a lot of different spots, a couple different like Vietnamese restaurants and stuff. It was pretty good. I love food, dude. I fucking love eating. I wish like food was just there was no such thing as unhealthy food, and everything was affordable because I would eat all the time. Not even because like I'm lazy and I don't like cooking. I love cooking. I love making a great meal and feeling that satisfaction of like I made this. But man, I love exploring new restaurants and there's literally nothing better. Like you look at everything that's good in this world. It's like Epcot, Xbox, the rapid decline of Tesla stock, and then it's like food and sleep. What else is there? Anyway, I'm just salty because I still have all those Cybertruck hats and shirts from back in the day. Anyway, let me know if you're interested in buying any Cybertruck gear. I have a couple of shirts I'm still trying to sell. Anyway, where were we? So that's it for what I've been eating. Now let's move on to what I've been playing. It's time to talk about South of Midnight, boys and girls. And by boys and girls, I mean boys, because there's sure as hell no girls listening. Girls, listen. We got South of Midnight here, the new game from Compulsion. They are making this game for us to enjoy, and it's good shit. So let's talk about it. So I started playing this game on, Thursday last week, the 3rd? I did not think I was going to have any time to play this, but I strangely enough did get a little bit of time every night to play for an hour or so. The game is split into 14 chapters, and I'm on chapter 10, so I'm a little more than halfway through it. I'm definitely on the beginning of the 3rd act of the game. I can tell by the story that I'm entering the final act of the game. So I'm pretty far along, and I feel like I can talk to this game pretty extensively in terms of my thoughts and opinions. Although, of course, next week when I've beaten the game, I should have some further thoughts and things that we can add to the conversation. But I don't even know where to begin. So South of Midnight, let me just say broad approach. I think this game for me is so far a 9 out of 10. I love this game. I love this game so much. I'm really, really enjoying my time with this game. Every time I pick it up, I have a very, very, very great time, and I get zero bored, and I am very engaged. I'm really enjoying this game. This is a game, one of those games where I could just tell from the moment they revealed it, that's a Jesse game. And then when we saw the gameplay for the first time, I was like, oh, that's a Jesse game. And at no point has my feeling that this game would be a great game for me, has it waned or been dissuaded in any way? And now having played it, I can fully confidently say this game is a Jesse game. I often talk about, if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you pretty much know, I yearn for and lament deeply the fall of linear action-adventure, platform-based games, classic games that you would have gotten in the N64, the PS2 generation, or even to some extent the Xbox 360 generation. The fact that these games have just fallen out, bottomed out entirely, and that ever since somewhat the 360 generation, but really since the Xbox One generation, we have reached this arbitrary agreement in the video game space, which is that we will not make linear video games. We will not make 8-hour-long games that are about jumping on platforms and getting from point A to point B and light combat and just kind of, finish the level, reach the finish line type games. We just kind of don't allow these. Really, the only exception is Sonic the Hedgehog and a couple of indie games, basically, at this point in time. Even Mario has opened up so much. I love Mario Odyssey. I thought it was a great game, but even Mario Odyssey is such an open-ended, big type explorative emphasized a game for a Mario game, a series that of course defined the idea of a platformer game that's objective is start at point A and get to point B. And so it's just weird because I feel like as combat has gotten more complex and nuanced in RPGs that allow you to expand your character's abilities and mess with stats and features and functions. And then as combat has also matured through games like Souls type games where it's all about skillful mastery of combat mechanics, we have basically just started to devalue entirely the notion of games that have simplistic, straightforward button mashing type of hit X to punch kind of combat. And then as games have focused more and more on in-depth, deep, rich storytelling like The Last of Us, or Uncharted, or the new God of War games, I feel like we have just completely lost our ability to appreciate a game that has good storytelling, but isn't it's not the pinnacle. And as games have gotten more and more open world and more about exploring and expanding a map and knocking off destination points and crafting and collecting and all these things, we have completely written off the notion that a game can be fun if the director and the creators of the game say, we have a very narrow vision of the experience we want you to have, and so we're going to create a very linear experience that kind of funnels you through this kind of pre-carved out path. And the problem with South of Midnight, in my opinion, isn't a problem at all. South of Midnight is a game of a genre that is from a bygone era that I personally believe deserves to have life again. It deserves to have a seat at the table, and we deserve to get games like this still to this day. But I am in the minority, and the majority of video game players have rejected these types of games and view them as archaic and dated and old hat and just nothing that anyone wants anything to do with. And so the problem is, because South of Midnight definitely is not the most innovative platform of all time, because South of Midnight is not the highest artistic form of storytelling ever in a video game, because South of Midnight has incredibly rudimentary, basic combat, people look at it and they just go, well, this game is this uninspired AA PS2 era shovelware, and there's really no place for a game like this. And I think that's greatly unfortunate. It's severely unfortunate, because we get all these indie games, right, that are like, oh, this game would be right at home on the NES or the SNES, right? And people love the pixel art games and the Metroidvanias and the fucking twin stick shooters, right? And we get these kind of classic arcadey NES style games that we can get from indie developers, right? And people play and they go, I love it. It's simplistic. It's mechanic driven. It's old school. I love it. It's a retro indie game. It's great, right? But there's something weird about this era of like N64 PS2 games. We get these basic action adventure platform games, and we can't look at them the same way and go, oh, isn't it so cool? Someone made a game that's kind of like Mario 64, that's kind of like Sonic Adventure, that's kind of like all those PS2 character platform games. It's kind of like Crash Bandicoot. That's kind of like, whatever. Like, we can't get games like that and people appreciate it, because when we get games like that, people go, this is, the combat is so basic. Platforming is so boring. And it's like, there are these rare exceptions every once in a while. You get a game like Astro's Playroom, which won a lot of Game of the Year awards last year. Awesome. The game is like a masterclass in platforming mechanics and therefore got recognized. You get a game like Mario Odyssey in 2017, where it opens up the idea of a 3D Mario game and expands it, makes it so much bigger, and pushes the mechanics to new levels to the point where people are forced to appreciate and admire the game. But God forbid you get something that is just, it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, but it's a great 3D character platforming style game. That's not enough. All of a sudden, we got to reject that. We got to push that away. And that's the unfortunate reality that South of Midnight faces. And so let's get into the game a little bit more now that I've kind of set what I perceive as the unfortunate reality that this game is up against. The biggest thing that you can point out to this game, and anyone can look at it with 2 seconds with their eyes on it, and identifies that this game is aesthetically astounding. This is the one thing I think we can all agree on, right? This game has a beautiful art style. It has great lighting, has really good, really solid graphics. It is just a complete joy to look at. Now, there is some performance issues. I've seen some like texture pop in and object pop in and stuff during like cutscenes and stuff, which is like whatever. That stuff doesn't bother me too much, and I'm sure they'll patch it out and fix it over time. But it's worth noting. But overall, for the most part, the game looks and performs beautifully. Its art style is stunning, and I love that in cutscenes in particular, and with like kind of background objects, it does that like Spider-Verse stop motion animation thing where everything's at like half frame rate, like 2 frames a second, because it is just so pretty to look at. And this game has such a unique flair, this like Southern Gothic antebellum charm thing that has this folklore Southern Gothic thing. It works so well. It's so exciting to look at, and it's so engrossing because we don't get these settings in games. We get so many video games that are sci-fi, space, whatever. So many games that are like knights and orcs and elves and medieval times. We get so many games that are like vaguely ambiguous Asian, like Elder Ring looking shit. We get so many video games that are like, all the same shit, like, oh, modern day LA, modern day New York, modern day San Francisco, modern day New York, San Francisco, LA combined into one city, like Grand Theft Auto clone style games. We get so much of that, but we never see games with this kind of setting. It's so unique. And so now this game has 2 things that I really appreciate. It has a really unique, breathtaking setting and artistic direction and aesthetic. And then it is pulling out of a genre that has in my opinion, undertapped and deserves to be brought back to light and re-explored. And so now, to me, it's got a lot going for it. I adore the world in this game. I love this like Southern Gothic folklore thing where you see this, and like it reminds me of Coraline. I think Coraline's probably a pretty decent inspiration on this game. And you see it like in just folklore stories in general. It's that thing where it's like everything starts out normal. It starts out in a world that we can recognize, right? It looks like this Louisiana kind of low country area where, like, you know, it's not the greatest place in the world, and this girl's trying to like prepare for a storm that's coming, this hurricane that's coming, and she and her mom are getting ready, and you can like picture this world that you're seeing on the screen. You could imagine it being somewhere in the real world. And then as the events of the storm take place and the game starts to unfold and you start to explore these levels and these environments you go through, the world just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And the environments look unrecognizable and they look fictitious. And you got trees with people built into them. And you got fucking giant fish that swim and talk. And you got these creepy spider creature monsters and all this stuff. And the world becomes more and more unfamiliar. And the thing I love about this kind of folklore trope is that no one ever pays attention. No one ever addresses the fact that this is weird, this is unusual. We're going from a familiar place to an unfamiliar place, and the game just continues to go further and further down the rabbit hole of weird, without ever addressing that this is a normal thing that has become unnormal. And I love that. I think it's super interesting. It makes for this like really twisted, like what the fuck is going on kind of thing with the world, with the setting and the world building. And so I love that so much. I love this. I love the just the moment to moment gameplay. It is predominantly a platformer. Most of this game, what you do is you run around in a linear level type structure, chapter based structure, but you could call it levels. And you do basic platforming. It's kind of like the Uncharted games where like you climb ledges, you shimmy up ledges, you jump to the next ledge. It's kind of like, oh, what just happened here? It's kind of like, what was that? Sorry, my internet just like exploded for a second. That was weird. Yeah, so it's kind of like a basic platformer. You get double jump. You get this B mechanic where when you jump, you can hold B and then do a little glide. So you can clamber up cliffs and stuff like that, and ledges and things like that. And there's like a small skill tree, and you can kind of upgrade yourself ever so slightly by collecting these floof like element things by kind of veering off the beaten path. The game is very linear. It will kind of like funnel you through where you need to go, and you can click in the right stick and it will direct you where you need to go. But the game, you can kind of use basic game logic to kind of be like, okay, well, it's telling me to go here, but there's kind of a little beaten path over here on the left, and if I go that way, there's probably a collectible, and you find these little tiny platforming challenges that reward you with these floofs, which you use to then unlock new abilities and upgrade your tiny, very basic rudimentary skill tree. And then that allows you to do double things like double dodge roll and like a ground pound attack and things like that. So you can do slight upgrades to your characters. And I like the exploration aspect because it's basic enough that you feel like you're getting off the beaten path and you're exploring the levels a little bit, but it still keeps it very linear and keeps the pacing of the game on point. And that's one of the things I just love about these styles of games, these linear platformer games, is that they are so they're so directed and so linear that like the pacing feels great. It always feels like you're on to the next thing, new experience, new mechanic, next story beat, next combat beat, and it's always keeping the action going. I'm so tired of open worlds where it's like, oh yeah, that was a fun mission, now what do I do? Well, now I traverse this open world and try to discover a new part of the map and find a new person to talk to, and it's just like 20 minutes of like filler content just kind of navigating an open world. But in South of Midnight, it's like an old school game where it's like you're just always working towards the next thing because the game is keeping you going. It's funneling you through what they want you to see and what they want you to experience. And I love that. So it's always the next platforming challenge, always the next cutscene, always the next combat encounter. And so from that perspective, I really love it. You get a little bit of exploration, veering off the beaten path, and get rewarded with these little collectibles that you can use to upgrade your skill tree. But for the most part, you're just kind of going through the directed path to experience what they want you to see and do next. And I love that. It's very refreshing, I find. So the exploration is good. There's wall running, which is really good. I think the wall running feels really great, and you can kind of adjust your wall running up and down as you do it. I think the wall running, the climbing, the jumping, the platforming, it all feels really good. It's not Mario level of great platforming, but it is more than competent, in my opinion, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So I'm just really enjoying the basic exploration and platforming that the game offers. Now, the other big aspect when you're not platforming and exploring the levels is the combat. And this is, I think, where the game is taking the biggest brunt of its criticism. And it is where I will also criticize the game the most. The combat, in my opinion, is fine. It's totally serviceable, but it is incredibly pedestrian and basic. It does get a little stale. It's just kind of serviceable at best. And I can totally see why modern audiences will hate this style of combat, because it's just a fun platformer with light beat 'em up kind of press X 3 times to do a punching combo kind of combat. Where I think the problem is most people want combos. They want to have 2 or 3 attack buttons. They want to be able to upgrade and unlock new combat abilities. They want to get new gear. They want to upgrade their stats. They want to upgrade their weapons. They want to get different weapons to fight with. They want more enemy variety. This game has a very basic enemy variety. It's these different like spirit creatures, and throughout the game you get introduced to a few more types, but it's mostly the same ones over and over again. It has this very arena combat focus where it's like you reach a combat section and then like this spirited wall like comes up and then you're in a little arena. It's like you got to fight these 3 to 10 enemies and then the combat encounter's over and then the walls drop down. You can continue platforming through the level. So it is very much sectioned off. Like now it's platforming, now it's combat, now it's platforming, now it's cutscene. And I think a lot of people hate that because they want that natural flow of I'm exploring the world and I came across an enemy, I fought the enemy, and then I started exploring more, and then it led me to here, and then I found this loot, and I had to defeat this base of enemies in order to obtain that loot. And then I used that loot to upgrade my skills and my equipment and my gear, and then I unlocked and discovered this new weapon, and then I did, and they want that experience, but South of Midnight is old school. It's like, no, we funnel you through the level, then the combat encounter has, and you complete the combat encounter with the rudimentary combat skill set you get. And so I understand why people are going to lambast this game for being so basic and so old school. But again, for me, this is refreshing. I think there's a time and place for these kinds of games. I'm not saying I wish all games were like this and that I wish there were no open world games and no Souls-like games and no, any of that stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying along with all those open world games we get out the ass and all these RPG games we get out the ass, it would be nice to have some of these basic combat, basic platforming, linear style, level based, old school PS2 era platform games. I just think this is what makes this game special, is it's serving a market that has been so underserved for so long, and it does it with such a unique and compelling art style and an interesting story that it's really fun and engaging from start to finish, or at least thus far. From at least chapters 1 through 10, I can confidently say is pretty interesting. Now, I do think there is something kind of inherently conflicting about this game, where it has this very like E10 style combat that's really aimed at younger audiences or people that don't want a huge challenge like myself. But it is an M for mature rated game. So, they use the fuck word and the shit word in this game. And so it's geared towards an older audience that's probably people who have experience playing games and are looking for something a little more complex with the combat, yet the combat is so basic and rudimentary, and the game has such a whimsical, cartoony art style that it has this like weird conflicting thing where it's like it's kind of like a gameplay loop that's serviceable for younger audiences, but in the package of a game that's geared towards older audiences. And I can see how there's some kind of disconnect in that aspect. And I just say that because I recognize that I'm in the minority of people who would want to have a game like this at the age of 30, whereas most people probably want a game with more complex combat and more weapon and enemy variety and more exploration, discovery, and open-endedness. And so I acknowledge that. While appreciating this game and enjoying it, I can also acknowledge why I think it's falling short for a lot of other people. That skill tree, it's cool that it's there, but it's anemic. It's all utilitarian. It's all very basic and rudimentary, and there's really not a whole lot there. The only other gameplay loop I really haven't mentioned is that there's this little voodoo doll you have called Crouton that you rediscover at one point in the game. And he's like this little minion, and you can find these little holes where you can't crawl in and reach, and you can use Crouton to like go in these burrows and like solve little platforming or puzzle challenges so that you can continue on to the next section of the game or whatever. And so that's another part of the upgrade system, and a part of the combat loop or the gameplay loop is utilizing Crouton from time to time to kind of finish, like, go through this burrow, reconnect the power over here, get behind that crack and do that thing, or you can even deploy him in combat and have him fight by your side. So it's a cool little add-on. But I feel like the game is pretty varied and exciting. I saw a lot of criticisms that are like, the game kind of shows you all its tricks after the first half of the game, and then the latter half of the game, you're just kind of doing the same things over and over and over again. The basic gameplay loop is that narratively, it's like you reach every chapter, you meet a new character along your journey, and then you do this mechanic where you have this bottle and you kind of discover like their traumas and their past and their horrors, and then you bottle up all their experiences and traumas in this bottle, and then at the end of every level basically you have either a boss battle encounter or you have like some kind of like climactic or like resolution moment with that character, and then the next chapter kind of moves you on to the next character, the next story, the next round, but it's kind of this repeated loop of like platform exploration, bottling up these traumatic events and coming across these things, enemy combat encounters, and then either boss fight or resolution, and then on to the next chapter where you kind of do it again. And I saw a lot of people saying like that gameplay loop gets really old after like the first half of the game. But I'm in the last like 4 chapters of the game, and I've not grown tired of this at all, because I feel like the way they mix up the flow of the platforming, as the platforming evolves and gets more complex, and the combat, as the combat gets more the combat doesn't really evolve all that much, but as you get more acquainted with the combat, and as the story begins to unfold more and the characters become more integral to the story, I personally find that it stays fresh and exciting enough from start to finish, or from at least to where I'm at so far, where I don't feel like the game just feels repetitive and boring. Now, it is technically repetitive. It is. But I don't feel like it's boring and repetitive. I feel like it's still fun and fresh, because I like this gameplay loop, and I'm enjoying this cycle of that the game has me going on chapter after chapter. So I'm really enjoying it personally. Story is, to get some more fair criticism, I would say the story is very high potential. I would identify it as a very high potential story, where it has very interesting twists, characters, a great synopsis, a really great setup. But so far, I feel like none of the potential has really been reached. There's a real opportunity for heavy and impactful storytelling that leaves you like thinking or feeling. But so far, I found the game to be very surface level. It introduces really great ideas and then doesn't explore them deep enough or have much to say on them. And so I find a lot of the resolutions with these various characters you meet along your journey to be somewhat unsatisfying. And it sucks, because like the game, it's so good. It's about this girl who thinks her mother was swept up by the storm and killed, and you're trying to save her and find her. And it's like there's great opportunity for storytelling, and you meet these people in this kind of like desolate southern fantasy world where people are sad and people have traumas and these past experiences, where it's like a brother betrayed his other brother, or a man, didn't defend his father and watched him die as a boy, and all these kinds of fucked up things. And this girl, had this father who didn't appreciate her and favored his pet alligator over her. And then she grew up to try and be, the good person her father never was, and is haunted by the lack of respect and appreciation she received from her parents. And it's like, it's like these traumas, these like broken humans who have these like skeletons in the closet and these scars. And it's like you're exploring this world and these characters. And it's like, okay, this is interesting. This is compelling. But every time you wrap up an arc with one of these characters, it's like, I feel like we didn't really explore that narrative to the fullest. I feel like we didn't really take all the emotional and philosophical weight that idea has behind it and really extract all that value out of it. And so it's a little frustrating, where the game feels like it's just so high potential and it's never reached that potential narratively. But it's always engaging, because the potential's there and you're waiting for it. And I'm on chapter 10, and I'm waiting to see if in the end they can tie a lot of these stories together, and the way things wrap up with Hazel trying to find her mother and rescue her mother. See how that pans out. See what they do with that. I'm really excited to see it. But so far, the story has always let me down in resolution, but always excited me in premise, to where I don't have high hopes for how they're going to wrap up the game. But I am really enjoying the ride nonetheless, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's one thing I'll definitely say about it. And it's so unfortunate, because like the music in this game is so good. It's so awesome. It's so unique. You'll just be playing, like, you can't play this game while listening to a podcast or music. You got to focus on the audio of the game, because not only is the world just alive with like the birds chirping and the sounds of the bayou and everything, but it's like you'll just be playing the game and they just have like these different soulsy, bluesy songs just going in the background, and like these vocals that just kind of like play into the story, like, and just all these like these fun like southern gospel songs and shit, just like recapping what's happening as you're playing through the events and stuff, and the music is so interesting, and it's so like toe tappy, and in some cases creepy, in some cases haunting, in some cases catchy, and it's fun, and it just adds so much to the atmosphere and the tone in this otherwise already perfect aesthetic that the game captures. And it's like, goddamn, from a presentation point, this game is a perfect 10 out of 10. The combat, it's divisive. The moment-to-moment gameplay, it's rudimentary and basic. And while it works for someone like me, I could see how it's really not for someone else. And that's like the two sides of this coin, where it's like, the aesthetically, presentation-wise, it's a 10 out of 10. Story and gameplay-wise, it's a 7 out of 10 kind of thing, right? And then you got to weigh it. For me, I think overall, the enjoyment level I'm having with this game is so high that it still kind of weighs on the higher end of things. Every time I play it, every time I reach a new play session, I'm like, is this where the game starts to get stale for me? Is this where I start to have issues like the things I'm seeing people complain about online? But every time I walk away from this game and take a break, I'm like, no, I really enjoyed what I just experienced. I'm really enjoying this game. My only real gripe for me personally is just I feel like the story isn't really living up to its potential, but we still have 4 or 5 chapters to go, so let's see how that wraps up. But yeah, the only other thing I'll say about this game, just kind of small anecdotal stuff, I really appreciate the game's inspirations. Clearly, it's inspired by like Leica films, like Coraline, stuff like that. Clearly, it has a lot of reference to Southern Gothic art, like visual art, as well as great American authors and poets. There's a lot of references in the title chapters, like the titles of every chapter, and like achievement names and stuff like that. They have references to authors like William Faulkner, John Steinbeck, Zora Neale Hurston, Flannery O'Connor, poets like Emily Dickinson. So like you feel it, like there's a lot, and as someone who studied in college, American literature and has a real boner for, 20th and 21st century American literature, like this is, modernist and postmodernist and all these kinds of things, and transcendentalist writing and things like that. I really appreciate like the focus on like these callbacks and these tonal and inspirations and touches that are informed by American authors, because it's like that's the shit that's like right up my alley. I love this shit, so I'm really enjoying that. It kind of plays into that double-edged sword of like the aesthetic and the tone and everything about this game is so good, but unfortunately I feel like there's very high potential for like, with such great inspirations behind it, with such great potential and great synopsis and a great setting, such great potential, but I feel like the game's just it's so surface level on everything it says and does thus far that I'm like, eh. But overall, yeah, I'll just wrap up by saying South of Midnight, for me so far, it's very much a Jesse game. Thus far, I'm having like a 9 out of 10 type of experience where is it perfect? No. But is it something I personally really, really, really enjoy? Yes, very much so. This is by far the most I've enjoyed a game thus far in 2025. There's still plenty of time for other games. I mean, the new Mario Kart, the new Donkey Kong game look phenomenal. The new Metroid game looks phenomenal. Switch is going to have a great year if I can ever get my hands on a Switch too. Obviously, I'm excited for Outer Worlds 2. Avowed was really great, but it let me down a little bit. It wasn't as great as I thought it would be. So I'm looking at, the big games that I'm looking forward to this year, and so far, South of Midnight for me is a very strong early contender, and I'm really loving what I've experienced thus far. So it's a really, really great time. Highly recommend it. I mean, listen, as a Game Pass game, I highly, highly recommend it. And then I even think as a $40 game, I also really highly recommend. I see a lot of people comparing it to Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is a game I've had on my wish list for a while, but I still haven't played personally. I want to play that game. I'm pretty sure I'll love that game as well. But I can't compare. I just see a lot of people saying this game has a lot of parallels with that game, at least. So I don't know if maybe it's worth saying if you're familiar with that game, that might inform whether or not this game would be a good fit for you. But regardless, I just want to say, I think for Game Pass, this is great stuff. I feel like if Xbox has more stuff like this for Game Pass, it's the kind of stuff that makes the service so alluring to a player like me who wants variety, who appreciates more AA stuff. I mean, it has a very AAA production quality to it, but in terms of like the genre it's tapping into and the style of game it is, it's of a very AA or just older school kind of style, which I don't mean in any derogatory or negative way whatsoever. I really, really appreciate this game, but I highly recommend it for $40. or for Game Pass, I think it's worth every penny. I just know a lot of people seem to not be jiving with it as much as I am. And so I say that cautiously, maybe wait for a sale or just try it if you're already a Game Pass subscriber, but don't go nuts for it. But first, I don't know, if you're someone like me, if your taste in gaming aligns somewhat with mine, this is a no-brainer. South of Midnight so far is just phenomenal. I'm really enjoying it. Okay, let's talk about something else, I guess. Technically, I have also been playing a lot on my Switch. Listen, man, I'm telling you the honest to God truth. I'm in such a Nintendo mood right now. Aside from South of Midnight, I'm in such a Nintendo mood right now. I dusted off my Switch, which is a professional dust collecting machine, and I've been playing Mario 3D World again. Just kind of going through, finding an excuse to touch my Switch again. I really want to go through and like clean up some games I haven't played on the original Switch that I know I want to play, but I haven't played, like Pikmin 4, Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario Ultimate Alliance 3. I never, like, games that I knew I wanted to play, but I just never played. Mario Wonder is the big one. I can't believe I still haven't played that game. Just in anticipation of Switch 2. So I think I'm going to probably go that direction, spend some extensive time with my Switch after South of Midnight's wrapped up. I know I wanted to get back to Atomfall, but I'm just really feeling... It feels good, man. I mean, like, if you've been listening to this podcast, I've really only been doing Xbox On in the time since I've kind of had my falling out with Nintendo. Because I was a Nintendo fanboy from the time I was a child, really until, like, year 2 of the Switch. Like, I mean, dude, listen, remember the Wii U, the one everyone likes to laugh about? No one loved the Wii U more than I did. I loved the Wii U so much. I got the Wii U a full 3 hours before it even came out. I was the only person that showed up at the midnight launch at my local Walmart to pick up the Wii U. And the guy that works there at Walmart was like, "What are you here for?" And I was like, Walmart's doing a midnight release for the new Nintendo Wii U. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" Is this older guy that was working in the electronics department? And I was like, it's Nintendo's new console. It's you guys are doing a midnight launch. I promise you. I know no one's here, but you have a sign outside your door. It even says so. And he's like, so what can I do for you? So I gave him my pre-order slip, my receipt. And I was like, I'm not trying to annoy you. I'm just waiting till midnight in 2 or 3 hours. And this is my receipt. I'm coming to pick up this order. He goes, "Hang on a second." I just remember him snatching my receipt, going into the back and being like, "Is this it?" And he just pulls out a Wii U. And I just remember being like, "Oh, he's holding the Wii U. It's not even out for a few more hours. He's holding his hands. I felt like I was like in the presence of God." And he was like, "Is this it?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay." And he looks at my receipt again. He goes, "Here you go." And he just hands it to me and lets me walk out of the Walmart at like 10 o'clock at night. The night before it comes out. I'm like, "Oh my fucking God, dude. I got the Nintendo Wii U early." And that's just an anecdote, but like, dude, the strongest dreams I ever had as a kid were back when I didn't have a GameCube, but desperately wanted one. And I would have like regular dreams where I was just like, my mom would take me to the store and I would see the GameCube on the shelf and I would pick it up and we'd bring it home. And I was like, "Oh my God, I have the GameCube." And it was like one of those things as a kid, like you just remember it so vividly. I was a huge Nintendo fuckboy. Like I loved the Wii so much. I love the 3DS. I love the DS. I grew up on N64 and SNES. Dude, Nintendo is such a huge part of my life, as it is for most people who have been gaming for a long time. I mean, Nintendo, it crosses everyone's path, right? At least in the Western world. So, it's just to say, it's like it feels really good to be excited about Nintendo again, because ever since the Switch came out, like you can feel it. Nintendo, they've lost. They're kind of doing a little bit of like what Disney's kind of going through right now, where it's like they've lost some of their touch, they've lost some of their charm. Like Switch is just like, it's the worst feeling Nintendo hardware. Like it's a great idea, it's a 10 out of 10 idea, but like the hardware feels like shit. And like, yeah, it's like the console's so boring, the UI sucks, they don't play music on the shop channel. You just feel like there's no fun, there's no childlike excitement and joy behind modern Nintendo and the way they present and the way they hold themselves. It's just, they feel so sterile and modern in a way. The games are still great, don't get me wrong, the games are still phenomenal. Mario Wonder, awesome. I'm sorry, Mario Odyssey, awesome. I love Splatoon. Whenever new Splatoon comes out, I play them, but it's been a long time where I'm just like, I'm just kind of tired. Nintendo fans kind of piss me off, and like I feel like Nintendo always gets held to this incredibly high standard, and they always get this blanket respect that they don't necessarily deserve. And it was just kind of, I needed a break. I just needed a nice healthy break. And I just skipped a lot of the Switch generation. After the first year or two with the device, I was like, I'm just going to focus on not Nintendo for now. And I feel like Switch 2, I don't know how long this will last. Maybe it will last. Maybe I'm back. Maybe I'm just back and I love Nintendo like I used to. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this is just like a multi-week fad that I'm going through and it will end. I don't know. But right now, I feel like now with Switch 2 and everything, it feels like a good jumping on point, a good point to like kind of turn the page. Maybe I'm back. Maybe I'm not as into Nintendo as I was as a kid, but I'm back more involved than I was before. I don't know. But it just feels good. Like I'm really excited about Nintendo for the first time in a long time. I'm listening to my old Nintendo podcast I haven't listened to in forever. I'm watching YouTube videos about it. I'm playing my Switch in bed every night. It feels good to be enjoying some time with Nintendo again. So I'm just kind of rediscovering an old friend I haven't seen in a while, if you will. So that's really what I'm doing when I'm not playing South of Midnight. So once I wrap up South of Midnight, I think me and Switch are going to go on a little bit of a sojourn together. But that's it really for what I've been playing. You guys, take a quick break for water, and then we're going to come back and do the important enough news and some listener comments. Be right back. All right, guys, let's wrap up real quick with the stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to warrant their own discussions. We got a couple here real quick before we get into the comments. Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming to Game Pass again, alongside with an enhanced edition for PC Game Pass. The game will be added to the service of Game Pass on April 15th. So nice way to get yourself all preempted and get excited for the GTA 6 stuff coming up. Hopefully we get word on that probably around, I don't know, June. I'm guessing in June we'll hear about it. Next up, a former Nintendo Switch exclusive game is coming to Xbox soon. Disney Illusion Island, starring Mickey Mouse and friends, will be released on May 30th for Xbox and PC. The game is being developed by Dlala Studios, who previously worked on Xbox Game Studio Battletoads, along with Team 17. That game was really fun. Next up, Hades 2 will be released for Nintendo Switch 2 as a console exclusive at launch, meaning that the game will come to Xbox at a later date. The game's supposed to come to Nintendo Switch 2 sometime this year, and then probably, hopefully, Xbox, PlayStation, and the rest next year, although it's been early access for a while. Finally, Blizzard has released a roadmap for Diablo 4, which will lead to the game's second major expansion next year. Highlights for the roadmap include keyboard and mouse support on console, several mystery IP collaborations that will come later this year, and the roadmap leads up to 2026 when Blizzard will mark the release of the game's second major expansion, as well as a new ranking system and leaderboards. So stay tuned for more on that. And guys, that's going to do it for all of our news. Now it's time to get to the best, the final segment, the only segment my mom even tunes in for anymore. The comments, the shout-outs, you know how it works. You go over to youtube.com/XboxOnPodcast. That's at XboxOnPodcast on youtube.com. Click on the latest and greatest episode of the podcast. Please don't look at any other episode of the podcast. I will simply cry in a fit of rage. I will be so upset. And then leave a comment. You can say anything nice, anything mean. You can be a total dick, but I prefer if you didn't. And while you're at it, speaking of being a dick, please feel free to rate and review the show on podcast services, whatever service you use, whether it's Apple, CastBox, Pocket Cast, whatever it is used. It would really help a lot. I appreciate it. As I always say, 5-star reviews only. My feeble mind can't handle any constructive criticism whatsoever, so please be nice. We have 6 comments, 6 write-ins. Okay, cool. So let's get into them, starting in no particular order with Mr. Maug, who says, how nice of Nintendo to wait for Wednesday to do their Nintendo Direct so that you could, and not Thursday, to interfere with your podcast. I'm also in the same boat as you, where I'll probably get Nintendo Switch 2, but if it sells out, I'm okay with it. Yeah, Mr. Mao, well, today I'm feeling incredibly salty after a week of waiting because our friends across the pond, they have their Switch pre-orders, but we don't. We have to wait. We have to suffer. So won't you suffer with me, Mr. Mao, please? But yes, incredibly nice of them to wait so we could podcast about it. Now, Mr. Taka-chan writes in and says, I'm not sure why people thought Nintendo would give Xbox a big spot at the Switch 2 reveal. At most, Xbox will show up on smaller events. Not a fan of Nintendo raising prices on games and hardware. I was already kind of mid on if I wanted to get one, and now I'm 100% no-go at launch. Might pick one up in a few years down the line like I did with the original Switch. Yeah, I think this is a fair point, and this is kind of like, again, it's like that's how I originally felt, and then I just allowed all the internet conspiracy to get to me and convince me that they were going to show up at this event. But I think it kind of makes sense. Why would Nintendo want someone like Microsoft to dominate their Switch coming out party. You know, like this is like their event. Xbox can show up somewhere else. And so I agree. I think honestly we might even get some Switch stuff at the Xbox Showcase in June, but sooner rather than later we're going to get something about Xbox games on Switch for sure. Next up, Happy Mario 64 writes in and says, "Hey Jesse, thanks again for the podcast and covering the Switch 2 reveal. Talking about the price of the console with Mario Kart in the UK for £430, so divide that by 8 years, that's £57 and 75 quid. No, quid's what you call bucks, right? What's cents? Pence? I don't fucking know. I'm not British. So if you look at it this way, it's a bargain. With the cost of games, I guess you just won't be buying as many. But it does prove what a bargain Game Pass is. But I have no doubt that there will be a price increase in the future. Oh, you can bet your ass on that. I've been playing Forza Motorsport and Call of Duty, eating cheese and tomato sandwiches and a cup of tea. Us English and our tea, we can't get enough of it. Cheers. Dude, my girlfriend drinks so much tea, she might as well be British, I swear to God. More of a coffee gent myself. But teach your own. Good to hear from you, Happy Mario. Yeah, man, let me know. Did you get Switch 2 pre-order since you're in the UK and you had the opportunity to get one since you're not being fucking forced to suffer at the hands of a mentally handicapped United States population that keeps voting against its best interests and putting ourselves in harm's way? Let me know what you did there. Listen, I'll say this about the Switch. I don't think $450 is a crazy price. I thought on the low end it would be $400 and on the high end it'd be $500. So honestly, for it to be priced at $450, it's kind of like right in the middle. I understand it's expensive when you think about how the Switch 8 years ago came out $300, but it's different hardware. It's more expensive hardware. It looks more premium, that's for sure. And also just the cost of everything has gone up so much. I feel like all things considered, this is kind of a fair price for what it is. The hardware itself does not have me riled up at all. It's the game stuff. I understand why people are disappointed about it, but honestly, it's like we can't be having this conversation about how we don't want AI to take over, and then in the same breath be like, games can't get more expensive. It's like, listen, man, games got to get more expensive. The developers and publishers deserve to be paid for these things they're putting out there. Gaming is such an expensive endeavor. So many games fail and don't do well. It's not to say Nintendo's at risk for failing. It's just to say people deserve to be compensated fairly for the things they put out there and the work they conduct. And while it's unfortunate that most working class people aren't getting paid fairly or what they deserve, especially in this inflation-ridden age, it doesn't mean that I wish for the games industry to be stricken with even further layoffs and hardship and inconvenience because gamers are unwilling to comply with the notion that as the cost of doing business rises, so must the cost of the product. That cost must be passed down to the consumer. And so I'm not, again, saying that I like it, but I understand it and I respect it. And I would rather it be this way than for it to be, y'all got to figure out how to just make it work and good luck trying to keep your jobs, because gaming is a luxury. It's a luxury hobby. At the end of the day, I'd rather pay a premium to know that the jobs are secure and that the people are able to keep doing the work they do, as opposed to having this precarious gaming industry that we've had the past few years that is only getting worse and worse. And so I say let's address the problem rather than complain about this false sense of entitlement to reduced pricing on games as the value of $1 erodes in front of our fucking eyes. And that's not to say at all that that's what you're suggesting here, Happy Mario. It's just your comment made me think of these things, so now I'm saying them. But I appreciate you writing in, my brother. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Thank you all so much for writing in thus far. Cronky writes in next and says, I know you have talked about not really caring much about achievement hunting anymore. As a whole, I don't either. But if I really like a game, I will usually try to get all the achievements as a way of saying I fully completed the game. For example, I got all the achievements in Avowed. Well, I have been toying with the idea of doing that with Master Chief Collection for like 3 years now. I think I'm going to finally try it. Do you have any games that you would like to get all the achievements on that you're totally checked, or that you are totally checked out of that? Or are you totally checked out of that? Going for all the achievements in Master Chief Collection is a fucking suicide mission, but good luck to you on your endeavor. Please let us know how that goes for you. No, I'm not. Here's the thing. I love achievement hunting. I still enjoy it. Every time I boot up a game for the first time, first thing I still do is check the achievements list to say how hard would it be to 100% this game. I do think achievement hunting was somewhat watered down as the rules got loosened up. I liked that Xbox had hard, fast rules in the Xbox 360 gen, where it was like, no, if it's a AAA game, it has to have 50 achievements, no more, no less. It has to have 1,000 gamer score, and that's it. And now everything's so weird. It's like, oh, this game has 23 achievements and 1,000 gamer score. This game has 87 achievements and 2,300 gamer score. I hate that. I wish everything was kind of locked to keep it consistent and even. So that's one thing that kind of turned me off. But my big thing is, it's just, listen, when achievement hunting first came out, I was in middle school, high school. I had very little disposable income, and I had lots of free time. And achievement hunting was a really great way to put a stamp on things and say, I love this game. Look, I got all the achievements. It's the same way you do it now. It's, to me, getting 100% on the achievements is just a way of saying, I really love this game. I want to put a stamp on it. And I still love that notion. It would be into that. It's just that my time is so limited, and there are so many games I want to play. It's just I have to give up arbitrary things like achievement hunting if it means I want a prayer of a shot at ever getting to some of my backlog and these other games that are coming out that I want to keep up with. And so it's just something had to give, and so achievements are that thing. I'm not saying I would never 100% a game ever again. There are still games I look at where it's like, it's not that I try to get 100%, but it's like, oh, every time I beat a game, I always look at how much gamer score I got out of it. And if I ended with like 200 or 300 gamer score, I'm like, can I at least wrap it up with like 400 to 600 gamer score? You know, if it's a game I really like, I'll wrap it up and be like, are there like 5 to 10 more achievements I could just kind of clean up in another hour or two of gameplay just to kind of like not have such an empty completion rate on this game? So I still look at it from that perspective, and there are times I'll linger on a game after the credits roll and play another couple hours just to clean up a couple of achievements. But doing 100%, it's become more and more cumbersome on most games, and I can't. I just don't have the time. I don't have the patience, and I don't have the time, but I still appreciate it, and I really love it. I think it's a great idea, and it's the same satisfaction that you get that I get, which is that idea of like putting a stamp on it and being like, I love this game so much, I was willing to do this. I love it. Love the idea. I always wanted to 100% every Halo game. I think I've only 100%ed like 2 Halo games, so I failed. But great question. Wonder how some of you guys deal with that as well. We got 2 more write-ins. I got to wrap it up because it's starting to hurt to talk. This thing is sore on my tongue. It sucks. Anyway, Cargo Runner UK writes in and says, Adamfall is a rough around the edges AA game, and I'm enjoying it. In real life, I go walking in the Lake District where the game is set. The game is shorter than you think. I explored and listened to all the dialogue and found my first playthrough was only about 12 hours. My speed run was 90 minutes. I actually avoided all the combat I could. At the end of the day, the soldiers are just doing their job, trying to keep the peace. The druids are just in the woods worshiping the soil. I didn't just want to kill innocent people, so when I had to trespass in these areas, I just used the stealth and just ran like hell. So my characters can sit there and as there are so many bullets in the backside. I did cheat, and I was in the settings where you can allow yourself to keep running when you have a high heart rate. It's great when games let you play how you want to play. By the way, if you were just exploring, don't waste your ammo on clearing a location. The enemies just respawn, and you'll just have no ammo left when a mission sends you back to those locations. Good to know. Good tips. I want to get back to Adamfall, but I'm in a Switch mood. So once I finish up South of Midnight, there's no telling when I'll get back to Adamfall. It is good to know that's a game that can be completed in under 15-20 hours. That's really good to know, because this is a game I definitely want to dabble with. I feel like I could at least play a dozen hours or so. So I will get back to it. But Cargo Runner, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I appreciate the tips. It does look great, and I love what you say. It's a rough around the edges AA game. We need that shit. Not everything needs to be the next fucking Assassin's Creed Syndicate or whatever the hell kids are playing. That's the 2016 Assassin's Creed. Why did I say that? Anyway, but thank you for writing in, Cargo Runner. I'm glad you're enjoying Adamfall. It seems like a lot of people really are. The game's doing quite well. Our final comment comes in from Tim R, who says, I'm looking forward to the Switch too. Nintendo and Xbox are the only ones I buy. I would buy a PlayStation as well, but I'm poor. I look forward to buying the Switch 2 here in like 4 to 5 years when I can get the games on sale and I've had time to save. Throwback to a long time ago when I've decided to just skip the series generation of Xbox and just get whatever comes out next. Likely not the handheld though. When I commute, I drive and my family plays together on the TV, couch co-op. So a handheld just doesn't fit my needs. Enjoy your time with the in-laws. They sound better than most based solely on the fact that you're not dreading their arrival. Well, it was a good visit. I appreciate that. I get that. I appreciate that. I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit already with the pricing stuff. I respect it. Gaming, I always say gaming is such a cheap hobby, and it is in the broad sense of like of all the, you think about the cost of a mortgage, the cost of a car payment, the cost of some hobbies out there where people have some expensive hobbies. People like to collect fucking Nike shoes that cost $200. People like to work on race cars and things like that. Like, there are expensive hobbies out there. People are drug addicts and alcoholics. Those are expensive hobbies. But in the grand scheme of things, buying a $500 console once every 8 years and then buying $60, $70 video games once a month, once every other month, in the grand scheme of things, I feel like that's really reasonable, really affordable. When it costs you to, $100 for two people to eat at a restaurant minimum at any restaurant that's not called Chili's, $70 for a video game is pretty reasonable in my book. But I totally respect that money isn't infinite and that people have to make tough decisions and budget and be considerate of their income. I have intentionally tried to set up my life in a way where I don't have to be a responsible adult, and that's why I don't have kids, and I'm trying very hard to build a good career for myself just so I can be a selfish adult and, be able to play video games and go to Disney World with my girlfriend, because I don't want to be responsible and raise a family. But I understand for most people, they live in the real world, unlike me, and it's important to to have to make those decisions. It's like, if every console costs $500, it doesn't make sense to buy them all. And if every game is going to cost $70, $80, it doesn't make sense to play everything. And sometimes you got to wait for a sale. So I respect that. I respect that decision making. And I'm kind of like you in that sense, where it's like, I could play everything, but I'm like, probably not the most cost effective and reasonable thing to do. Also, just time is a huge aspect of it as well. It's the more valuable resource, in my opinion. So that's why I'm very much the same way. I've always been Xbox and Nintendo. I've taken a big break from Nintendo for a while, but I've mostly always been Xbox and Nintendo, because there's so much overlap with Xbox and PlayStation. And then it's like, yeah, I could play PlayStation. They have great games, but like, then I'm just spread even thinner between more platforms where I have to keep up with all the stuff. But if I just play PlayStation and Nintendo, or Xbox and Nintendo, or PC and Nintendo, you're pretty much, you got all your bases covered. So I see it kind of that way as well. But yeah, I'll be curious. Once people have a final price after the tariff thing's been assessed, once people get their hands on the device and it's out there in the wild and people are talking about it and that hype is there, I'm curious to see who caves and gets it and who doesn't. I'm sure it'll be hard to get for a long while anyway. But I'm personally very excited for Switch 2. I was telling a friend today, I don't give a shit. If the tariffs make it go up another $50, $100, I'm going to buy it. If I can get a Switch on day one, I will buy a Switch on day one. If I got to pay $500, $600, I don't care. I want to Switch 2. I want to be there. I'm always there for day one on Nintendo platforms, especially ever since I got a disposable income. When I was a kid, it was just like a dream to get a Nintendo console. I was always a couple years late to every generation. Now, dude, ever since the Wii, the 3DS, the Wii U, the Switch, I'm always there day one. So I plan on it being no different this time. The new Mario Kart game looks superb. The new Donkey Kong game looks phenomenal. And the new hardware looks improved. I'm really excited. I hope it feels a lot better than the current Switch, because the current Switch does feel like dog ass. So anyway, that's it for all of our comments, you guys. Thank you for listening to this Xbox Nintendo hybrid podcast. Thank you for your time, and let me know what you guys think about the topics we discussed today. South the Midnight, Nintendo Switch 2, video game pricing, all these things. I'm excited to hear from you guys. I'm curious what you have to say. And as always, I just appreciate you all being here. It's only fun to do this podcast because I know you're on the other end listening, and that's always reaffirmed and then made more engaging for me when you guys write in, because then there's a dialogue. Then we get to talk. So appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Eat your Stasio sandwiches. At the very least, try a pub sub. Public subs are delicious. They cannot be beat. And until next week, power your dreams. Let's go. It's a me, Mario. Finish the fight. There we go. I Xboxed it at the end.